وهو الله لا إله إلا هو له الحمد في الأولى والآخرة وله الحكم وإليه ترجعون والحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعمه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين رحمة للعالمين خاتم النبيين شفيع المذنبين أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
والصلاة والسلام على آله وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين كما قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم وأصدق القائلين أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
أما بعد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. All the praise and all the glory belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, for this year's Muharram Majalis, I have chosen, as you know, the following ayat, for the following ayat, from the Quran, from Surah Al-Baqarah, which is Surah number 2, ayat number 207. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ رَءُوفٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals and says, and there is the type of man who gives his life to earn the pleasure of Allah, and Allah is full of kindness to his devotees. This ayat, as we know, as I have been telling you every night, that according to the sources, both Sunni as well as Shia sources, that this ayat was particularly revealed for Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. When he volunteered his life in order to save the life of Rasulullah so that he could safely escape, for the hijrah, and he volunteered to sleep in his place, in the bed of Rasulullah. It is for this reason that we have been looking at the major events in the seerah of Rasulullah, starting from this time, to witness ourselves the contribution of Imam Ali alayhi salam as a wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, also based on several other incidents that we have been exploring through the seerah of Rasulullah, of which today is inshallah the last topic. Now I have a special, permission, to extend my time, so I might go, slightly. But my intention is to finish, inshallah wa ta'ala, in very, very brief terms, and also giving you the assignment, to do your own readings, from home as well. Now, until last night, we have discussed up to the Battle of Khandak, until last night. And the chronology of events, that happened in this campaign, the campaign, clearly showed, who were the munafiqun and who were the mu'minun. So, I told you that, the lessons that we learned from Battle of Badr is the unity. If we have got faith and united in one faith, then no matter our numbers, even if we are in total minority, there is a special divine help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what happened in the Battle of Badr. Then we saw in the Battle of Uhud, the lesson was, discipline. That, whatever your leader tells you, you must follow that up to the last. If you don't, then the chances are that you will lose. The lesson, that we see in this campaign of, Khandak, that there's a very clear distinction that, people begin to see very clearly that who are the munafiq and who are the believers. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows who is munafiq and who is a mu'min. But people do not know. I may be appearing to be the most mu'min, but only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one who knows who is munafiq and who is the believer. This distinction was seen very clearly, so clearly that you will be surprised, so clearly in this in this campaign of Khandaq. Because, as we saw last night, that in this campaign of Khandaq, the situation was so uniquely serious that even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals in Surah Al-Ahzab that the fear was so great that your hearts came to your throat. The fear was from the front and from the behind. In a situation like this, it was very clear that who is a believer and who is a hypocrite, munafiq. Those who were munafiq, they said very clearly when they saw this danger, and they saw that now there's no escape for us. We are surrounded. We are surrounded from the front, from the back. No way for us. We are doomed. And they say, and this is in the Quran, they said that وَمَا وَعَدَنَا اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ إِلَّا غُرُورًا, that Allah and His Rasul has betrayed us. These were from those, who were with Rasulullah, the companions, others as well, who were actually munafiq when they saw this. Very similar thing you see in the time of Nabi Musa alayhi salam. When Nabi Musa alayhi salam is now ready to split the night, when all this, with the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala released Jews from the bondage of Pharaoh. And as Moses, as Nabi Musa was taking them to the promised land, when they come when they see this whole sea in front of them, those who were munafiq, they said, we have been betrayed. We have been betrayed. You see, now here is the Pharaoh is following us, in front of us there is a sea, we have doomed. We are finished. A very similar thing happens here as well. So it was very, very clear who were the munafiq. And they began to give so many excuses, to Rasulullah, that our homes are, there's nobody to look after homes, back in Medina, because they had gone out right up to the borders. So this was a very, very serious situation. But the believers, look, because of the time, I'll just do the translation here. Look, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about the munafiqun? Oh, you who believe, remember the grace of Allah bestowed on you when there came down on you hosts to overwhelm you. I'm doing only the translation because of the time. Down on you hosts, but we, that is Allah, we sent against them a hurricane and force that you did not see, but Allah sees clearly all that you do. Behold, they came on you from above you and from below you, and behold, the eyes became dim, and the hearts grabbed up to your throats, and you imagined various vain thoughts about Allah. In that situation where the believers tried, they were shaken as by a tremendous shake. It was like a zalzala, it was like an earthquake, says Allah. These are the words of Allah. And behold, the hypocrites, that is the munafiq, the hypocrites and those in whose hearts is a disease, even say, Allah and His Messenger promises nothing but delusion. Ma wa'adana Allah wa rasulahu illa ghurura. Finished. Behold, a party among them said, you men of Yathrib, you cannot stand the attack, therefore go back. And a band of them asked to leave of Rasulullah, saying that truly our houses are bare and exposed, though they were not exposed. They intended nothing but to run away. And if an entry had been effected to them from the side of the city, and they had been incited to sedition, they would have certainly brought it to pass with none but a brief delay. So what's that? You see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying that, that if the treaty that the people of Ahzab had made with the hypocrites in Medina and other groups, that, that when we come, we will come from the front and you come from behind. And so the Muslims are going to be sandwiched and we are going to finish them. So Allah is actually referring to that. That these hypocrites, if really those people behind, if they had agreed to come, these people would have stood with them, not with Muslims. It's very, very clear. They were certainly brought it path with none but a brief delay, and yet they had already covenanted with Allah not to turn their backs. उन्होंने वादा किया था अल्लाह से, but they turned their backs, and the covenant with Allah must surely be answered for. This was the situation. And what is the situation of those who were believers? What did they say? They said that, this again from the Quran, when the believers, when the mu'minun saw the Confederate forces, they said, this is what Allah and His Messenger had promised us. And Allah and His Messenger told us what was true. And it only added to their faith and their zeal in obedience. Among the believers are men who have been true to their covenant with Allah. Of them, some have completed their vow to the extreme, and some still wait, but they have never changed their determination in the least, that Allah may reward the men of truth for the truth and punish the hypocrites if that be His will, or turn to them in mercy, for Allah is often forgiving, most merciful. And Allah turned back the unbelievers for all their fury. No advantage did they gain, and enough is Allah for the believers in the fight, and Allah is full of strength and able to enforce His will. Salawat, salawat, Nabi Allah. So what happens afterwards then? I think that you should actually read, so you should read, after that, the events after that, for example, infidelity of Banu Qurayza, about Zainab bint Jahsh, getting married to Rasulullah, about the Bani Mustalak Jews, hypocrisy of Abdullah ibn Ubay, and then you should read Rasulullah's Hajj to Makkah, with halt at Hudaybiyah, and negotiations that took place in Hudaybiyah in Hudaybiyah with the kuffar from Makkah. So, and the Treaty of Hudaybiyah was actually very unique. And after the peace treaty was signed, there was suddenly, peace in the region. Unbelievable. In the 7th century of Arabia, where the whole world is in turmoil and people believe in killing and slaughtering and bloodshed, here was, peace everywhere. It was quite amazing. Now, Rasulullah used this time to, in inviting foreign countries, to Islam. And then after that, we see, the campaign, of the Khaybar, because, some of the Jews had actually escaped, those who were actually exiled, from Makkah, from Medina, they'd taken a place with others of them in the Khaybar. So in the Khaybar campaign, Rasulullah said that tomorrow I shall hand over my flag to one who loves Allah and His Rasul, and who is beloved of his Rabb and his Rasul, a fearful, constant charger who never turns his back against his foe, and at his hands Allah will give victory. Now every Sahabi was anxious. Who could it be? Whom Rasulullah has proclaimed that this person is a beloved of Allah and His Rasul. Finally, the long-awaited morning arrives. Everyone is anxious. Now, let me read directly, because let me just read you directly from the source itself. So in the long morning, so it is both in Urdu and Arabic, and also in English, the long morning dawn and the twinkling stars around the Prophet, each gleaming to be particularly taken notice of. One of the companions, Sa'ad ibn Waqqas, to invite attention, especially towards Rasulullah, threw himself over the ground, pretending to have fallen, and then got up. But the Prophet appeared not to take any notice of any particular individual. When he broke up the silence and asked for Ali, where is Ali? All of them, with one voice, answered that he was badly suffering with the sore eyes and that he was utterly unable to look around. The Prophet commanded to bring him. He sent Salma bin Eko, who actually fetched him, hand in hand. The Prophet, taking Ali's head into his lap, applied the saliva of his mouth to his eyes. Instantaneously, his eyes got so clear as if he had never suffered from the disease. It is said that throughout his life, he never had the trouble again after this event. Rasulullah confided his sacred banner into the hands of Ali, armed him with his sword, the Zulfiqar, and thus designated him the man whom Allah and his Prophet loved. This was the situation.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When Muharram was in Medina at that time, or he was already in Khyber?
Who?
Maulali.
Maulali was sent to Khyber then, afterwards.
Afterwards?
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you see, the source actually shows, that he had actually gone, somewhere. When he returned, his eyes were sore, so he was not present there at that time. Okay, so it was a campaign that was going to take place to go to Khyber.
Because what we heard since childhood, that he was in Medina, and Prophet was waiting for him, and then he just read, Nadi Ali or whatever, and then he just suddenly, the dust shattered like that, and he came on the horse. He heard like that. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, there are actually different accounts, different actually versions of it. What we have to do is, that we have to do things in a way so that we can have, proper sources, from both, from the Sunni and Shia. There are many miraculous things that actually happened in the time of Rasulullah, but. It is always better, to be, scholarly, rather than sectarian, feelings. When you say, Naade Ali, Naad karna, yani to call for Ali. So he called for Ali. So some would say, he recited Naade Ali, and Mazhar al-Ajaib. So those are in some Shia sources, but you don't find it in truly authentic sources. Sallu ala Nabi. Thank you so much, for that question, because I always like it. I always like, there is a monologue, there's a dialogue, rather than actually monologue. So then, later then, after the fall of the citadel Al-Qamus, the remaining, there was, because of this prophecy from Rasulullah, Imam Ali was totally, absolutely successful. Now, I'm not going through all the details, but it's so unique, so uniquely successful. That the power that he had and the prowess and the bravery that he showed was so absolutely unique, unmatched in the history of mankind. There was no doubt about this. This Khyber was so strong, and the people who were there, they were so sure that nobody can penetrate us, absolutely no one. And yet Imam Ali was the only one who could actually leave the door with only one hand. It's quite amazing, so. So then, as you see then, later then, after the fall of this citadel, the remaining strongholds were subjected to tax. Imam Ali alayhi salam was then sent to Fadak, and the inhabitants, surrendered without any fight. This Fadak then was given to be Fatima the Zahra sallallahu alayha. Later, as we know, after the Saqifa, it was actually taken, from them until it was returned in the time of our fifth Imam. So, it was actually taken away, from them. Then in the time of 70 years after, in the time of the Khalifa, Umayyad Khalifa, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, not Umar al-Khattab, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, 70 years after that, at the time of Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, that he did manage, and so he brought about, many changes as well. Also, the cursing of Imam Ali from the mimbars, he stopped. Okay, so it's Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. Very unfortunately, that his Khilafat, lasted only 3 years. But, he could have, probably brought more changes. Probably even the Khilafat would have gone back. We don't know. Only Allah knows. Okay, so it was actually taken from them until it was returned in the time of 50th Imam by the Umayyad Khalifa Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. The other events, included, the Muta expedition, the Battle of Hunain, the conquest of Makkah, destruction of the idols with Imam Ali standing on the shoulders of Rasulullah to bring down the idol. Now, let me just, tell you that, that in the history, it has never actually happened, like this, that, in the milieu of 7th century, when you are victorious, then you capture your enemies. Men are put to sword, women are taken captives. Rasulullah did nothing like that. When the Quraysh, came in front of Rasulullah and said, what will you do with us? He could have done anything. But he said, to me, you are like brothers, just as the brother of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. Nabi Yusuf forgave them. I am forgiving you. You are my brothers. Antumu tulaqa. It was very unique. So when the historians are writing about all this, they are totally amazed. It has never ever happened in the history of mankind. In the 7th century, this much mercy, this much compassion, this much love and this much invitation to the brotherhood. The only thing that were destroyed were the idols. And those idols, one, the big one, Al-Hubal was right up. So it was very up. So Rasulullah tells Imam Ali to climb. Imam Ali climbs on his shoulders. And he brings down that Al-Hubal down. So now, the historians are actually telling us that, that although he did not kill anyone, he did not destroy any life. What he destroyed was the idols. But in that destruction, there was a unity. Then now you don't have different idols. No. Now you don't have each tribe, worshipping a different idol. All the idols are gone. Now you're all one. And the worship belongs only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was actually quite unique, very, very unique. So then to continue then, the other events, it was the Battle of Hunain, I've told you, then came the Tabuk expedition. Now, in the Tabuk expedition, it was very unique. You see, in the Tabuk expedition, the intelligence report was that the Roman Empire, which is the largest empire, there were two large empires in the world at that time, the Roman Empire and the Persian Empire. So the intelligence was that, that the Roman Empire has gathered forces to come against Islam. It was a big thing. That, all the previous, wars were actually battles, but now the Roman Empire is coming, and Tabuk was actually very far. So now what Rasulullah did was, that he, arranged, for this, campaign, and he asked Imam Ali that you will stay behind. You will stay in Medina. You will not come. And, there was a murmur, that, started, Imam Ali is asking Rasulullah, and Rasulullah said, very unique, Rasulullah said to me, Ya Ali, you are like what Harun was to Musa, except that, that there will be no other prophets after me. So it's very, very unique. So you can see very, very clear connection. I mean, there's no dispute that, who should have been the successor of Rasulullah. We have seen this, right from the start, right? So then, after the Tabuk, you have this, the announcement in Surah Tawbah, in Surah Barat, after the conquest of Makkah, there's a revelation, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now this revelation first is given to, Abu Bakr to go and read it to the, Muslims in the campaign, but then he gets the wahi, it should be given to Imam Ali. So he calls Imam Ali then, runs, he rushes to, catch up with, Abu Bakr, and tells him that Rasulullah has asked me to give the message. So it's very unique. Then, of course, we have got, after that, we have got the incident of Mubahala. You know what Mubahala was? Mubahala was, because of the now peace treaty, Rasulullah was sending invitation to different people in the world, different empires in the world, to Roman Empire and to the Persian Empire and, others. And, there was a Christian community in a place called Najran. And so, they wanted to find out more about, about Rasulullah and what, Islam is. So, they come to Medina and there's a dialogue, taking place. They are asking Rasulullah that if you're saying, what is the status of Isa in Islam? And Rasulullah said the status of Isa is that of a prophet. So they said, but you know what, how can he be only a prophet when your book says that he was born of a virgin mother? So how can he be only a prophet? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals and tells, says, they tell them, Inna mathala Isa indallahi kamathali Adam khalaqahu min turabin thumma qala lahu kun fayakun. Tell them, O Rasul, that the example of Jesus in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like that of Adam. Adam was created from the dust, without father and mother. So if Allah can create someone from without father and mother, why is it so difficult for Allah to create someone only for the mother and not the father? It was very, very clear. Okay, Al-Haqqu min Rabbika. And so then it actually continues, Al-Haqqu min Rabbika fala taku min al-mumtareen. This is the truth from your Rabb. So do not be of those who doubt. Okay, but then they still, they are still actually doubting. So then, they decide, that we should have Mubahala. What is Mubahala? Is, it is in the Christian tradition as well. It is called Melfidis. So that when there is real question, and so you can have a competition, you can say that if I am wrong, then may Allah send a curse upon me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and call them for the Mubahala, tell them, that they should come themselves, or the wives and the children, and we will go with our wives and our children. Okay, so it was decided on a particular day, particular time, to go there, and who Rasulullah goes with who? Rasulullah goes with only Bibi Fatima the Zahra, Imam Ali ibn Talib alayhi salam, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain. And when the Christians, when they see this, because, they thought, oh, now the whole of this, everybody will come, and they are really, scared, and they say, okay, we don't want competition, we will just accept, the rule, and then they accept, to pay the jizya. Salawat. So, let me just read directly here, from the source, and then we can go. So, after capturing the, Citadel, Imam Ali came back victorious into his camp. This is after the Khaybar, and when the Prophet, seeing him coming, he came out of his tent with open arms to receive him, warmly embracing Ali. The Prophet kissed his brow and declared that his services to the divine cause were appreciated by the Almighty Allah, who judges as well as by himself, his Prophet. And Imam Ali shed tears of joy at this report, and then Rasulullah revived his followers who had unsuccessfully retreated in the previous attempt, faith by the example of Ali, on whom he bestowed the surname Lion of God, Asadullah, Lion of Allah. So this was given by Rasulullah after that, Khaybar event. Okay, so I just want to go this very quickly and finish this. And I want to thank Syed Bakr here, Syed Bakr Azad, for giving me the chance to finish this. So. See? Okay, right. So I think I'll just close now. Okay. So I read that for you, and I read this for you in 69. And okay, so then after that, you know, the final thing that actually happened was, you know, then Rasulullah now is going for Hajj. You know, he's going for Hajj with large crowd, 10,000 Muslims, you know, we are told. In some sources, we are shown much more numbers. But, you know, authentically, we hear about, 10,000. And he goes and he gives a beautiful khutbah from the Mount of Arafat. And this khutbah is quoted by many scholars. One of the scholars is called, H.G. Wells, who has written a book, history of the world. And in that, he says this, he is a Christian, but he says that even Jesus could not have quoted words like this. What were the words, that all of you from Adam, he says, the worship belongs only to one God, Allah. And all of you are the children of Adam, and Adam was created from the dust. Therefore, an Arab is not superior to a non-Arab. A red man is not superior to a black man, and a black man is not superior to a red man. All of you are from the children of Adam, and Adam was created from the dust. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. He quoted the verse from Surah Al-Hujurat, Surah number 49, ayat number 13, where, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is not your race, it is not the color of your skin, it is not your passport, it is not your citizenship, it is not who you are, it is really only those who have got truly the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I want to end this here because, after that, everything was alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. But let me just, end, this year's, lecture with one beautiful hadith, what is taqwa. And, with this I will end, inshallah wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it from us. But, let me just, tell you about, taqwa. What is taqwa? Taqwa is very difficult to translate in English. Very, very difficult. Taqwa kya hai? Is it fear? No, it can't be the fear of Allah. Is Allah ogre? Is Allah, rakshas? Is it, it's not that. Allah is loving. Is Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. As we saw in Surah Al-Fatiha, Ar-Rahman means, Ar-Rahman, Another thing, that you should know is, that when we speak about the Asma of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when, the Asma of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I got my book outside there, the attributes of God. So in the Asma of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you hear the Ism of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it always begins with Al. Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim, Al-Malik, Al-Quddus, Al-Salam, Al-Mu'min, Al-Mu'min. Like that, all the 99 Asma, and the derivation of it, so many that you cannot even reach to the end. But this Al means, that this belongs only to Allah, and the attribute is such that you can never ever fathom it. You will never come to the bottom of it. Never. So when you have God, the attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ar-Rahman means the all merciful. So much mercy that you cannot reach to the bottom of it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells in the Quran, if you take all the trees of the world and convert them into pencils and pens, and take all the seas of the world, convert them into eyes, and start counting the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will still not be able to finish it. That is why in my khutbah every night I am reciting, that beautiful sermon from Imam Ali ibn Talib alayhi salam, that you will never be able to come with the Asma. You take the Asma of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will never be able to, even if all the mujtahid got together, all the mujtahid of this world, and they started counting the blessings of Allah, you will never be able to reach. So, so when Allah is so Rahman to everybody, I really think about this. On the Ashura day, Yazidi forces stopped the water going to the camp of Imam Hussain ibn alayhi salam, although they were hearing Al-Atash, Al-Atash, Al-Atash. But did Allah stop water for the Yazidi forces? It's very unique. When the rain falls, it does not fall only for Muslims or the Shias or the Sunnis. It falls for all. The sun shines for all. This is because Allah is Ar-Rahman. So, Allah is Ar-Rahman al-Dunya, but He is also Ar-Rahim. But that Ar-Rahim is for those who will go into the Jannat. So, Ar-Rahman will stop, for those who are not going to Jannat, there is no more Rahman there. There, for those who will go to, inshallah, all of us, inshallah wa ta'ala, then we'll have, this, both Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahimiyat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there, so how are you then going to, describe, what is taqwa? So, now there, if you go on in Nahjul Balagha, there are so many sermons, so many khutbah about, taqwa, what is the taqwa? Now, I want to show you taqwa in only one line by Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. And with this I want to end, inshallah, this year. It's only one line. And here, it's quite amazing. He says in Al-Qalbu Haramullah, that our hearts are actually the Kaaba. It is the haram of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-qalbu haramullah. فَلَا تَسْكُنْ haram Allahi غَيْرَ اللَّهِ. Make sure that in this Kaaba nothing else exists except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Rasul and all the teachings from the Masumin alayhi salam that is going to make us real muttaqi and put us on the right path. And the right path does not mean that that we should be only under surrounded by the four walls. We have got the duty outside. We have got to, we really have, you see, because Quran, Shahr Ramadan alladhi unzila fil Quran hudan linnas. Quran is revelation, revealed in the month of Ramadan for the guidance of mankind. But mankind does not have the Quran. We have the Quran. So Allah has put this burden upon us. We are the custodians. So we are the custodians of the Quran. So Quran is the book of Hidayat, the guaranteed success in this life and the hereafter. So unless we go out and show people that this is Quran, and this is what the Quran says, then you will begin to see that fitrah will really begin to take action by itself. There are people who converted to Islam reading only Quran in Arabic. And these are not local people. These are topmost, Dr. Jeffrey Lang, Dr. Gary Miller, Maurice Bouquet, and hundreds of others. They've converted to Islam, not even reading in Arabic, just reading Quran in English. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Let's do this dua. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز به الإسلام وأهله وتذل به النفاق وأهله وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة إنك أنت الوهاب إنك على كل شيء قدير. صلوا على النبي اللهم صل.